ashram for treatment of a big ulcer on her leg. Mataji took pity on her and detained her in the ashram itself for about 2 months, till the ulcer was completely cured. Mataji used to bathe her daily and comb her hair and decorate it with flowers. Mataji did this kind of service for the children of the ashram workers and visitors, however poor, ugly or dirty they may be. One morning, a former maidservant of the ashram came very ill in a service bus and laid herself down in the veranda. She was suffering from high intermittent fever and was in a state of delirium. She was too weak to go out, even to answer the calls of nature. Mataji looked after her with all love and attended to the scavenging work herself and daily dressed her and made her bed. All orphaned hearts feel the love of a mother in her. Sri Indira Devi sings her praise thus: Dear mother, what spiritual heights you have scaled are beyond my ken. But that you lean down in compassion to us earthly things, that I see. Mataji's heart, flowing with the milk of compassion, heals the aches, lightens the load of sorrow that beset the soul struck by ill fortune. Her children's woes and miseries wring her heart with anguish. O mother, you give away all that you are, her heart, soul, life and power, to stop a tear, to heal a heart lacerated, to soothe the pains and agonies of your children. This is your mission. Spiritual light, Tu Maja Yajaman Rama. Yes. O Ram, you are my master. By feeding my 5 vital airs, you protected me in my mother's womb. When I came out of it, you provided me with milk in my mother's breast. While this is the case, why should I worry about food for my stomach? Madhva Munishwar Swami Rampati says, O God, I surrender my I-ness to you. This is taken out from Mataji's Guru Kripa.
यजमान रामा तो माझा यजमान तो माझा यजमान रामा तो माझा यजमान जननी जठरी रक्षियेल माझ पोसुनी पंचहि प्राण जननी जठरी रक्षियेल माझ पोसुनी पंचहि प्राण बाहेर मीरा मापति माधव मुनीश्वर स्वामी रमापति धरी माझा अभिमान तो माझा यजमान रामा तो माझा यजमान तो माझा यजमान रामा तो माझा यजमान.
Mataji's spiritual ministry. When once asked what she was praying for even after realization, she said, I am praying to Papa to give Sakshatkar to everyone in the universe. She tried to facilitate all that was necessary to hasten the spiritual ripening of her children. All that she said and did was directed towards this end, that all her children should abide in the same spiritual state which she herself enjoyed. In the early days of the ashram, what great pains did Mataji take to create ideal conditions for sadhakas to engage themselves in sadhana. She saw to it that they had their own rooms, provided them with sattvic food that a sadhaka should eat, and asked them to be, as much as possible, in Papa's company. As Papa used to reiterate, the company of saints and God-realized souls is the greatest opportunity in a man's life to progress towards him. And it was for this and this reason alone that this ashram came into being. Mataji was anxious that none should be deprived of this golden opportunity of being in Papa's holy company. She planned meticulously, not only providing for their creature comfort, but also for their spiritual succor by scheduling bhajan programs and Ramnam chanting in the bhajan hall. She served the devotees with the same zeal, love and dedication with which she served beloved Papa's person. If people sought Mataji's counsel on spiritual matters, she would respond saying, "Let us all look upon beloved Papa only as Guru. I cannot be a Guru. I will tell you what beloved Papa has taught me. I am not telling you as a Guru to a Shishya or as advice." All the same, she was guiding and exercising her spiritual influence in unobtrusive and unassuming ways. In her inimitable way, she gave them counsel, at once practical and profound, though she was averse to play consciously the role of a Guru. She exhorted upon the devotees to believe whatever Papa does is for the best, even though sometimes his actions may appear contrary to reason. She would say, "You see, such instances are apt to disturb the minds of ordinary sadhakas easily. Unless we have the strength to accept without reservation everything about Papa and believe that whatever he does is for good, it is hard to face such situation. The mind must be so trained from the very beginning, but it is very hard." After Papa's Mahasamadhi, she was often found weeping because nobody amongst the devotees took advantage of Papa's presence all those years. Now that Papa has left, who will light up the path for you as he did, she would ask. Mataji would express not less than half a dozen times every day that none took advantage of Papa's physical presence all those years. And will ask, "Now who will help you?" One day when she was in bed, Mataji suddenly started weeping. When asked for the reason by Pujya Swamiji, she said, "I am weeping only because none of you took advantage of Papa's presence." Then when he replied, "For that it is we who should be weeping and not you," she suddenly laughed and said, "Because you are not weeping, I am weeping." Though Mataji wanted to do all the seva to Papa herself, she would permit some if they so desired, as she was equally anxious that they should also get the benefit of serving Papa. As a mother, she would keep a watchful eye on the devotee's spiritual evolution and lovingly suggest any change that might help them in their pursuit. She evinced interest in everyone in the ashram, whether they are permanent inmates or visiting devotees, whether people were known to her for years or only just for a couple of hours, made no difference to her in her love and concern for them. Mataji would be very minutely watching over those who came to stay in the ashram, lest they should commit any mistake. First and second mistakes she might ignore. And if the same were repeated, Mataji would get furious and tell them bluntly where they had erred. If a sadhaka or anybody who had committed a mistake, for which Mataji had taken him to task, unreservedly owned up the mistake and sought pardon, Mataji would be very happy and forget it together. On the contrary, if he defended his action, she would flare up and never be the same to him, even after weeks and months, until he admitted the mistake and apologized. Then she would say, "Oh, it took so much time for you to realize your mistake. Your ego is so strong that it will not bend. This is all because you are not chanting Ramnam properly. Intensify your Ramnam chanting, and then you will gradually find yourself admitting your mistakes more readily instead of defending yourself or blaming somebody." Mataji's only concern was the welfare of the devotees. Her anxiety to see them progress fast and the deepest love she had for them were revealed at times in keen and cutting words. It is this aspect of Mataji's spiritual ministry that baffled everyone. Her personality was unfathomable and her reactions often unpredictable. But those who knew that behind all these is a heart full of deep love, compassion and concern for the quick progress of her spiritual children would feel that Mataji was only ridding them of all their accumulated dirt in an apparently rough way, and her anger was a great blessing in disguise. Mataji wanted Papa to chalk out a new path for the devotees to attain God realization without any hardships. Pujya Swamiji was now making a mention, the householders should straight away get it without any strain. Mataji wanted Papa to chalk out a new path for the devotees to attain God realization without any hardship, without the necessity of renouncing and running away to solitude. Such was her compassion. She made the path simpler by telling us that there was absolutely no need for us to renounce anything externally No need to give up one's possessions, properties and families and resort to solitude, which was really very difficult. According to her, we were only to achieve inner renunciation by renouncing the sense of I and mine. This could be done living in the world. In whatever condition and circumstances we are placed, what is needed is only a change of attitude towards things. Her heart was so large that she wanted all in the universe to get the same experience as hers. For that, she toiled all her life. Mataji was so anxious to make devotees who come to ashram feel completely at home, which she hoped would enable them to devote themselves to Ramnam and make rapid spiritual progress. Mataji tried to make everyone a votary of Ramnam. The workers sang Ramnam while working in the fields or in the kitchen. The children at Sri Krishna Vidyalaya sang it before beginning their day at school, and the visitors to the ashram were also drawn to the Ramnam circle. She was tirelessly serving everyone in the ashram, giving them whatever they wanted, only hoping that they should ultimately realize their oneness with Purushottam Papa and enjoy eternal happiness. Mataji gave whatever help was possible in cash and kind to the needy. The most important help was her gift of houses for the poor and the homeless. When the ashram was started, many homeless people in the surrounding places came seeking help for the construction of hutments from protection from the monsoon. She constructed small houses whenever possible, and in many other cases helped them with the tiles for roof or timber for windows and door frames. She would even borrow the construction materials from the supplier, and that too at a time when ashram was already sagging under the weight of heavy debts. Once a supplier pestered Mataji time and again for the payment. At one point, Mataji lost her patience and told him to remove the tiles from the huts and take them away, as she had no money to pay his dues. The shopkeeper apologized forthwith and agreed to wait for the payment. When some families were in dire need of a roof over their head during the never-ending rains, Mataji even talked of demolishing some of the ashram buildings and give away the housing materials to them. Once this incredible thing actually happened. She got the Chandwani building demolished and got the tiles, frames and other materials removed and gave them away for house construction. She even said openly that she would give away the ashram buildings as they are, if only she could. Only the trustees will not permit it. In her letters to Papa, she wrote, as the ashram is not limited by the ideas of boundaries, creed or caste, but embraces the entire universe, you all compassionate Papa gave land and houses to the needy ones irrespective of their caste and creed. O infinite Papa, you ensure that each and every being is looked after and suitably housed. So it is not possible for us to guess how many houses you will make us build and what all things you will make us do for the service of your children. Inscrutable is your Leela. As was her wont, she placed the credit for her actions on Papa, the absolute doer. Later, to make each family independent and earn its own livelihood, needy people were given small plots of land and houses were constructed on them so that the members of each family could live in the house, work on the land and independently earn enough, though sufficient only for 3 or 4 months of the year. The sublime spirit of housing support to the indigent and poor, who are all the children of the same universal parent, is beautifully conveyed by Mataji in her own inimitable style in a letter to Papa. All merciful Papa, from all these needy people, being your own children, you did not demand any rent or put them under any obligation. As children have rights over the property of their parents, so also, all-pervading Papa, your children have rights over the property given to you. From time to time, our revered mother made appeals to the devotees through the vision thus: it is my innermost desire to provide all the poor and needy in the world with the necessities of food, clothing and houses. I request all those who are eager to render loving service to the poor and needy and are capable of doing so to send their contribution to me for this purpose. No one need contribute to this cause unless he or she truly feels in his or her heart of hearts that the service thus rendered to the poor is the same as service rendered to oneself. Moko Kahan. Where are you searching me, O child? I am within you. I am not in quarrels or arguments. I am not in weapons. I am not this body. I am with you. I am neither in temples nor in mosques. I am neither in Kashi nor in Kailash. I am neither in Ayodhya nor in Dwaraka. My gift is your faith in me. I am not in ceremonies and the like. I am neither in yoga nor in sannyasa. When you really search for me, you will find me within a second. Outside the town is my kutia, where I reside. Kabir says, listen, no brother, I live in all saints.